Oh, that one? Yeah. I'm just basically going to reiterate what I've been saying from day one.
Yep.
We value you, and this government just doesn't
And
understand.
they really care about that because they're being treated like a piece of shit by the government.
Okay, David's in the house. He's on his way.
Okay.
He should be here by then.
We can bump him down if he's not here.
Yeah, we could put Julie or Mark up. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's live.
Alright, thank you. Alright, I'm live with both video and audio on my scene right now.
Matt, this is now live. So you're out to the world.
Can they hear me? Can they hear
Well,
me?
we're just introducing Maxine Sharkey, the Assistant General Secretary from the Home Schools, who's going to MC the speech today. Thanks, Maxine.
Thank you, comrades. Can you hear me up the back, or do I need to use my teacher's voice? Is this for the live stream, or is it for both? Thank you, comrades. Thank you for being here and showing your support to the corrective services teachers today. My name's Maxine Sharkey. I'm the Assistant Secretary Post Schools of the New South Wales Teachers Federation, and I'll be your MC today. I just before we officially open with an acknowledgement of country, I would just like to inform you that we are live streaming this across the state to our comrades who are unable to be here today. We have people watching remotely in Broken Hill, Brewarrina, Wellington, Tumbarumba, Muswellbrook, Kempsey, Grafton, Glen Innes, Cooma and Nowra. So a big shout out to our comrades there. Before I continue and thank those who are actually here today at Macquarie Street, could I ask Janelle Ridgway to come up the front here, Janelle? We need to broadcast from here so that you can be seen by your colleagues out there. So I'd like to pass over to Janelle Ridgway, a teacher from Goulburn Jail, to acknowledge country. Thank you.
I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of this land which we meet on today, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. I'd like to pay my respects to our elders, both past and present, and I'd like to pay my respect to my Aboriginal brothers and sisters who are here today. And also, I would also like to pay respect to our non-Indigenous brothers and sisters who stand on this land with us. This is Aboriginal land. It always will be, forever. Thank you.
Thanks, Janelle. Hear me up the back. And I apologise to people remotely. I have the microphone in front of my face, but it might be better that way. I would like to acknowledge the people who are here today. Firstly, of course, our comrades who are teachers in the New South Wales prison system. And we have teachers here today representing jails and their colleagues at Bathurst, Lithgow, Goulburn, Cessnock, Carryong, Emu Plains, Silverwater, Long Bay and Windsor. So thank you to those comrades who've made it here today. We also have here with us our PSA comrades who are flying the flag behind me. They, more than anyone, understand what this Better Prisons reform is all about. Or as one of our teacher comrades calls it, the bitter reform. I have some messages from other comrades which I'll read out later. I would like to thank the politicians who are gathered here today to support us. I can see a plethora of Labor politicians and Greens. Is there anyone from the coalition here who I've missed? David Elliott, if you'd like to come out, there's always room for you to speak to us. I'd like to now just hand over to Guy Zangari, who is the Labor Shadow Minister for Corrective Services. Guy.
Thanks, Maxine. Before I say a few words, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of this land and pay my respects to their elders, both past and present, to the Teachers Federation who are here, to the PSA, also to Unions New South Wales, to my Labor colleagues who are out here in force, to all other parliamentary colleagues, but to the most important people in front of me, the corrections teachers of prisons in New South Wales. You are important. What has happened over the last few months is that you have been kicked in the guts by your government. The government's privatisation agenda continues, and yet the government fails to acknowledge the great work that you do with our inmates. No one else can do the job that you do. You are highly trained, you are highly skilled, and yet this government is continuing on with its privatisation agenda. You know more than anyone else, when this announcement was made some months ago, the very people that you were concerned about.
Two stairs. You know you're going on a rally organised by Maxine Sharkey when you've got two stairs to get up and stand so you can see to the end of the crowd. But I can't see the end of the crowd. I can't see the end of the line of the teachers and the unionists and the community members and the advocates who have come out today to say one loud thing to Mike Baird and Minister Elliott. Don't sack the teachers in our prisons. Let's keep the teachers in our prisons. It is fundamental to ensuring that we have a humane corrective services system that actually reduces recidivism, that gives inmates a second chance, that we keep our teachers in our prisons. And you can't replace a teacher with a clerk. You cannot. At a time when the New South Wales government has plans to jail record numbers of our citizens, some of their projections say that they want to have 20,000 of us in jail by the end of this decade. The Baird government has put aside $3.8 billion in additional funding to build new prisons, privatise prisons, put in new prison officers. And at the same time as they're projecting record prison numbers and a record spend on prisons in New South Wales, they're sacking all the teachers. What kind of parallel universe does Mike Baird and Minister Elliott live in? What a shame. What a disgrace. Say it after me. Shame on you, Mike Baird. I believe, as a Greens MP, my party believes, the unions that you're members of believe, that you cannot replace a professional teacher with a clerk. That this is not just an attack on inmates. This is not just an attack on prisoners. This is an attack on the very concept of the profession of teaching. Minister Elliott does not believe you need to be a professional teacher to teach. Well, I've got a message to you, Minister Elliott. I'm marking your grades on this. The people of New South Wales are marking your grades on this, and it's a ruddy big fail. You fail, your policy fails. We need to keep our teachers. I commend you all for taking your industrial action today. You have all said you're willing to lose a day's wages to stand up to the concept that you believe in of professional teaching. The professional teachers are best for inmates. You're best for our prisons. You're best for the state. You've got many friends in this place. We're with you till the end. Thank you.
Thanks, David. I would just like to say we also have had over 100 resolutions of support from our schools colleagues in the Teachers Federation. People from Schools from Albury to Wellington, from Glebe to Gilgandra have sent in resolutions of support to say that they stand with their comrades and friends, members of the Teachers Federation who are working in corrective services. The next person that you will hear from is a person who has personal experience of what goes on in the jail system. Julie Perry is an Aboriginal woman, but is also a teacher at Cessnock, who, I must say, on the day that corrective services told 158 teachers that all bar 20 of them wouldn't have work by the end of this year, Julie Perry stood at the back of the hall and advocated not for herself, but for the prisoners in our system, and particularly Indigenous brothers and sisters and cousins who are way overrepresented in our prison system. I thank you for what you have done to date, Julie, and we are here to support the ongoing work that you and your colleagues do in our prison system. Thanks, Julie.
First off, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land from the Eora Nation and pay my respects to the elders past and present. And I will say this, it is Aboriginal land, it always has been and it always will be. I'm here today on behalf of the inmates in New South Wales correctional centres. I am a proud Warramai Awabakal woman. I have been teaching at Cessnock and Carryong for 4 years. As a 42-year-old single mother, I went to university. I love my job and inspire the inmates to change through education. I have personally experienced the transformative power of education. The inmates need the opportunity to change their lives. We were told in May this year we would be replaced by trainers without tertiary qualifications. Everybody is entitled to a public education. Delivering education in a prison is unlike any other educational setting. However, it is rewarding, motivating, and inspirational. As teachers, we embed numeracy and literacy across all courses. We offer 30 different courses to ensure the successful outcomes required to assist the students upon their release. Teachers build relationships and support inmates who may be illiterate all the way through to university courses. And I have personally enrolled people in university courses, and they are very successful on the outside. We encourage learning and we celebrate their success. The Minister, Mr Elliott, and Corrective Services made the decision to privatise without any consultation, and to say otherwise is untrue. No prison was visited, no discussions took place with education, and each prison is unique. The logistics and access to inmates is dependent on the security.
Your staff, security is first and foremost. How can this decision to privatise be in the best interests of the inmates? Each inmate is inducted when they come to prison, which includes the core skills assessment, which is to ascertain their literacy and numeracy levels. Mr Severin said that we don't assess numeracy and literacy. We teachers use this tool to assess their competency for vocational courses and education classes. The core skills assessment is a prerequisite across the state. We then complete an education profile interview with each inmate. These are used to support their educational success. Literacy and numeracy are embedded across all the courses the teachers plan, deliver and assess.
And now, this is the most important part. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people make up only 2% of the New South Wales population. However, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people are overrepresented in prisons in New South Wales, with 35% of the inmates. 35% are Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander. And over 50% of the young offenders are Aboriginal.
5 Aboriginal identified teaching positions in New South Wales correctional centres at the moment. 5.
There'll be none. Shame.
As anyone will tell you, an Aboriginal person can connect and relate to another Aboriginal person easier and better than a non-Aboriginal person. And I know that personally. I can speak for that. The ratio of identified positions in corrective services does not reflect the 35% of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people incarcerated.
I am very, very concerned as we will be even more disempowered if this move happens, if privatising of education seems to be the way to go. Outside education trainers, and I say trainers, I went to university for 4 years to become a qualified teacher. Outside education trainers are business focused, not education focused. Public education beats crime every day. On behalf of the Aboriginal, the 35% of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people that are incarcerated in New South Wales, I please ask you to reverse this unworkable business decision and let us get on with our job of teaching the inmates. Thank you.
Well done. Well done. Thank you, Julie. And we do appreciate what you do, what you and all of your colleagues do in often very trying circumstances. You may understand that working inside a prison isn't the easiest of environments to work in. Colleagues, apart from messages of support from other members of the Teachers Federation and apart from the support of the PSA standing behind me here, we also have a message of support from the PSA senior officers that I'd like to read out to you. The PSA stands with you in your fight against this attack on public education in our New South Wales prison system. Only qualified teachers can deliver the education needed by the many prisoners who struggle with basic literacy and numeracy skills, a disadvantage which no doubt has affected their life choices. Addressing this gap in education reduces the chances of recidivism and gives us all a safer society to live in. The Baird government has offered no case to support their blind push for privatisation and no evidence that this change will achieve anything other than reduce the effectiveness of the education programs currently in place. This is a government determined to dismantle our public services and to do so without a mandate from the voters in New South Wales. But we are equally determined to join you in this fight against their extreme privatisation agenda. We have faith that by working together and supporting each other, we can defend our public services. So thanks to the PSA for that support. And we have support from all of the affiliates to Unions New South Wales. We've had messages of support this morning, and it is my pleasure to ask Mark Morey, the Secretary of Unions New South Wales, on behalf of the union movement. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Maxine. Can I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay my respects to their elders past and present. How about a round of applause for the teachers who've taken action today? This is a group of workers who came to Unions New South Wales on the day they were given envelopes and told, we don't need you. And they were upset not for their jobs, but for the people they worked with. How unbelievable is that? These are a group who are actually at the forefront of ensuring that we do not have increased recidivism in this state. And what does this government do? It says we're happy to cut them because we do not care. This is a group, a government, that if the unions raise any concern, any legitimate concern, they say we are embarking on class warfare. Well, I tell you who's embarking on class warfare. It is this government who continues to attack working people, people who are struggling and people with disabilities, people who can't get jobs and people who have succumbed to a system they had no control over. It is a disgrace. Elliott has shown neither does he understand his portfolio, neither does he have any compassion for people in prison, neither does he understand the process of getting people out of prison into work and not back into prison. These cuts will continue to funnel people back into the prison system. It is a disgrace. I congratulate the Teachers Federation on their action. I particularly congratulate the 150 teachers in prisons who have continued to protest but continue to work and support the people in prisons. Another round of applause for them. And I ask, have we had enough of this government? Have we had enough of this government? Are we going to continue to fight? Do we know we have the right message? Are we on the side of right? Then let's keep the fight up.
Thanks, Mark. Look, I've just noticed that Luke Foley, the leader of the opposition, has just arrived, and I'd ask Luke to come up and just give us a minute to show his support of teachers in corrective services.
Well, Maxine, thank you. Thank you for your leadership in this campaign. Friends, I just wanted to drop in and express my solidarity with all of the teachers in our prisons. Thanks for the work you do. I was out in Broken Hill and a prison educator came up to me and started telling me about the work she does and her colleagues do. I mean, what's occurring here, I think, is, frankly, economic rationalism gone mad. In the name of cost cutting, will sack working people who teach essential life skills to prisoners to save money in the short term, but we all know what the long-term costs will be. An increased prison bill because recidivism goes up. Been a lot of talk in the last 2 days about low levels of literacy. Well, we all know that there are low levels of literacy
in populations. And a civilised society educate prisoners for their own good and for the wider public good. That's what you do. Thank you for your work. I very much wanted to drop in. You have the solidarity not only of myself, my Shadow Minister Guy, who spoke earlier, all of the Parliamentary Labor team. We'll be asking about this in question time today. We won't go away. You won't go away. We'll fight because this is not simply about your jobs. This is about the values that a civilised society holds. We can't lock people up and throw away the key. We have to work to educate and rehabilitate people. That's what a civilised society does. More power to you all.
Thanks for that, Luke. It's much appreciated. Colleagues, I'd just like to demonstrate to you that it is only the Liberal National people in this place who think it's a good idea to sack teachers in corrective services. It is only the Liberal National people in this place who think you don't need to have an education degree to teach prisoners. To demonstrate that, we've just been visited by, and I would welcome Paul Green from the Christian Democrats to give their support of the teachers in corrective services. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. And of course, I was just speaking to the Reverend Fred Nile, and we're deeply concerned about your cause. Of course, we know, as the Honourable Luke Foley has just said, that we don't send prisoners to prison for punishment. Our best option for those people is to teach them and educate them. And can I thank each one of you who have committed your life and your relationships to many of these prisoners to ensure that they don't come out and reoffend. So their very best opportunity is to have you people in there teaching, educating and giving them a second chance. So on behalf of the Christian Democratic Party, we do stand with you in a large degree of this, and we will do what we can to ensure that the government rethinks this concept of privatising your education. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Colleagues, we need to move on because there's another protest going to happen here at 12:30. The Public Tenants Union are going to be here at 12:30, so we'll move on. But it is my pleasure to welcome somebody who has been working tirelessly for the teachers in the Teachers Federation, but in this case particularly for our comrades in corrective services. I'd like to welcome the President of the New South Wales Teachers Federation, Maury Mulheron.
Thanks, Max. And thank you all for coming out today to show your support for quality education provision in the New South Wales jails and supporting having qualified teachers working in our jails. The government calls this policy better prisons. Better prisons. The management call it a change management plan. It is nothing of the sort. It is the sacking, the wholesale sacking of teachers for one reason. They are sacking them because they have a qualification, for no other reason. Nothing to do with what they're delivering, nothing to do with the quality of service, nothing to do with their skills. They are being sacked because they have the misfortune of having a teaching qualification, and on that basis they are being removed from the service. This is bad public policy. And it's occurring. It's occurring at a time when we've got record high numbers of inmates in our prisons. One in two prisoners leave prison and are back in within 2 years. New South Wales has the highest rate of reoffending than any other state in Australia. We've got a huge increase in the number of people being imprisoned. This is not the time to experiment with bad public policy in order to try and save $5 million. Because what this government is doing is this. They are building prisons at 3 times the rate they are building schools. The Capital Works program for prisons is 3 times that of which it is for schools. That is insane public policy. We believe that this campaign does not even pass the common sense test. There's not one member of the community has voted in a government and said, let's diminish education provision in our prisons. I want to finish by giving this commitment from the Teachers Federation. We will continue this fight for as long as it takes, using any and every political and industrial weapon at our disposal. This is not something we take lightly. There's one thing I've learned about prisons. It has a lot of poor people. There's not too many wealthy people in prison. And the only wealthy people who are in prison are those who ripped off other wealthy people. So this is also a social justice issue, a human rights issue for those prisoners who deserve the right to be taught by qualified teachers in their prisons so they get a chance at life when they leave prison. This is too important to take lightly, and it's too important to be dismissed as just a change management plan. So we give the commitment to keep this campaign going. Thank you so much for your support to the PSA, to our politicians and to our members in schools and TAFE and corrective services across New South Wales. Let's keep this struggle.
Thank you. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you to all the speakers today. I would ask you, we will do a chant or two as you disassemble safely. I will ask that you please not go on the road and please don't walk in large groups to block footpaths. I thank you all for being here. I do believe some teachers are going back to the Teachers Federation to pass some resolutions. But if I could ask you now to not interfere with the traffic or pedestrians as you leave, and I believe Rob Long will lead you off with some chants.